how to market and sell your home without a realtor like a pro. So one of the first things that you want to keep in mind and I'm gonna assume you're at the very beginning, that way I cover everything. Okay. So one of the first things you need to keep in mind is, why are you selling? Do you have, or is your family getting big and now you have to upgrade to a bigger house? Or you have older kids and you're becoming an empty nester and you're looking to, uh, you know, go down to a smaller sized home. Maybe you have to relocate for a job. It could be a whole lot of things that you do not want to involve a realtor. And maybe it can also be a situation where money can be tight. And to pay out thousands of dollars in commission can get pretty dicey. And that's fair. That's perfectly fair. So the first thing that is important for you guys to understand is that there's going to be a major mindset shift, right? Because a lot of people believe that with real estate, especially hiring a realtor, that all we do is just open the door for somebody and let them in, and then we get paid $1,000 in commission. I respect that. If that's your view, it is what it is. But there is a lot more that goes into it, and I'm sure by now that you have found that it is not as easy as what we may make it seem, right? But don't worry, I got you covered. So some of the biggest mindset things that you need to understand: you are not only just a homeowner, you are now also the chief marketer. You have to be a marketer. If you've never taken marketing classes, or even really, if that's not something that you've ever been interested in, you're going to be interested now, because your home is going to need some top-notch marketing, because you're competing against other people as well. One of the biggest things that I always internalize for me personally as a realtor, that my number one job is being a marketer, getting a listing in front of the right person at the right time. Secondly, that will come second after that is actually doing the real estate stuff. So you need to be aware of this, and you're also the expert negotiator for your home. And I'm telling you right now that you need to get good at this, especially reading through contracts and stuff like that. And we'll talk about that a little bit further down, because if you do not do it, someone else is going to do it for you. Simple as that. If you're unprepared, and say I'm representing a buyer, and you don't have all your ducks in a row, especially with paperwork, I will do everything in my power to get my buyer the most leverage, the biggest deal, save the most money as possible. And you need to be prepared for that. So that is what my goal is going to be with this. I just covered. Set a deadline. So I can't remember what the principle is called, but no matter the time frame that you give yourself to fulfill a goal or complete a task, you're going to take all of it up. So if I give myself, let's say I want to lose 60 pounds. If I give myself 6 months to lose 60 pounds versus 3 years to lose 60 pounds, I will complete it in whatever time frame that I set up. But what this is also going to do, it's going to help you stay on task. It's going to help you remove any fluff that you have when it comes to selling your home. Anything that's unnecessary that's being done, that's not going to get you closer to a signed deal, you're going to move all that out of the way, okay? Next thing that you need to do, you need to make a list of everything that you know that is wrong with the house. Everything. In Wisconsin, we call this, we're going to put this all down in a piece of paper or a document called the Real Estate Condition Report. And that is what it's called here in Wisconsin. Places like Michigan, it might be like seller disclosure. And it could be some form of real estate condition or seller's disclosure, or the documents call something like that depending on what state you live in, or what province, or even what country you live in. But rest assured, there is a document like this that you have to put down everything, and I mean everything, that you know is wrong with the house. This even includes, even if you have a dehumidifier that is no longer functioning or it's kind of functioning here and there, you have to note that in. If you know there's flooding that occurs very frequently in your basement or even in the garage, you need to address this and put that in. Because if you don't, and say you get a signed deal and they find this out that you did know all this stuff and they had these problems, you never disclosed it, you could be sued. You could be sued for damages that was caused to the new buyer, right? Also, this helps build trust when you disclose everything that's going on. You disclose everything, it builds trust with the buyer, because when an inspection comes through, if they hire an inspector, if they find these things and you didn't disclose it, that's going to look really, really bad on you. Next thing you want to do is fill out all the appropriate paperwork. And we just talked about the first one, the real estate condition report. The second one that you're going to have is called, here in Wisconsin, if you use the Wisconsin real estate agent paperwork stuff, it's called the Addendum S, or if you're anywhere else, it's called the lead-based paint disclosure. So if your home was built before, I believe, 1978 or 1976, one of the two, I'm just brain farting right now. If your home was built before that, you need to fill one of these out, because the possibility that there was paint with lead that was used on the house at some point. So these two documents are required by law on any listing, and you need to make sure you have this in place. You need to make sure you have it in place. I know there's another video that I have on my YouTube channel where I do open up the documents and I kind of go through it, and if that's something that you're interested in, make sure at the end of this video there's going to be a button for you to go download all these documents or these checklists that I'm going to mention throughout this video for you to download, and that video will be in there as well for you to take a look at. But making sure you have these two documents, like you can almost miss almost any other document, and I mean it wouldn't be the best, but these two documents, you need to have it in place. Next, let's talk about how we're going to prep the home. So, when we're prepping the home, you got to clean up a bit. A big tip I'll give you is that paint will go such a long way with making your home look extremely presentable. It'll make it look really nice, really nice. Another big thing that you want to do is when you're showing your home, you want to remove as much things as possible from the house that personalizes it to you, because you want to give the opportunity to the new buyer, the opportunity for them to visualize themselves living in your home, because if they can't do that, they're not going to want to buy your home. Okay, you need to be able to create that environment for them to be able to view themselves there, or whether it's with friends, with family. That is what your goal is, for them to visualize themselves being in there. The next thing that's extremely important when it goes back to marketing is knowing your buyers and filtering them. What do you mean know your buyers? I don't know who's going to come by my house, but you need to try to pick one. Pick one and then focus everything around that one specific type of person or family. Let me give you an example. When I am listing a house, right? Let's say I have my house here. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house. 4-bedroom, 2-bath house, my goal is going to be to tailor it towards a family. Maybe a family or two, a family of 3. That's going to be my goal, right? So all of my stuff, I'm going to make the living room look very family-like. Maybe it could be a little play area. Have, not to personalize it too much, but make it look like this was intended to be a family room or a playroom, or even the backyard having a sand pit, right? This is just an example. A sand pit, a little fire pit in the back. Why? What does this create? This creates the imagery in your mind. Oh, I can have a fire pit, so I can hang out with friends and family. There's a little sand pit or ball pit outside where our small children can play while we're all having a cookout or something like that. You see how this can help the buyer visualize themselves living in an area. So that is something that you want to keep in mind. You want to identify who it is specifically that you want to come buy your house. And mind you, it's not gonna exclude everybody else. When you're marketing it, you're narrowing down on one specific type of person, and it's gonna attract everybody else. The problem is when you try to relate to everybody, you attract nobody. Okay? So pick the one type of person that would be ideal for this home and market it to them heavily, and it's going to attract a whole bunch of other people who do not meet that. But if you try to shotgun it and hit everybody, you're going to hit nobody. Next thing we want, and before I talk about filtering out the rest. So something we realtors love to do is requiring a pre-approval. Why? Because it gets rid of tire kickers quickly. If you don't got your pre-approval, if you didn't take the time to go get a pre-approval, we'll take that hit on your credit. To me, that tells me you're not that serious about buying this house in the next month or less, because my sellers want to get their home sold ASAP. If you are not willing to do that, to get a pre-approval, there's no way that you're serious, that you are, why am I even going to waste my time trying to show you this house? So this would be something really good for you guys to do, to require, before they even view the house, require proof of funds or pre-approval. Because if they don't have either, they're not that serious, or they're just taking too long. And if you were to waste your energy because you're doing this for sale by owner, right? You don't have much help. It's going to waste your time, and it's really, really, really going to drain you doing that. Next, let's talk about marketing the home smart. So there's a lot of avenues where you can market your home, and I'm going to give you some of the best ones that you don't need a realtor for. Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace is a heavyweight. It's a powerhouse to get a whole lot of people to come through and ask information about the home. You need to take really good pictures. I'm telling you that just regular iPhone pictures or Android pictures are not going to do it. You want to be as professional as possible when it comes to your pictures, because your pictures are going to make or break your sale. Know this, regardless, you are going to get an offer on your house one way or another. But you don't want people to lowball you, and you don't want people to just, you just don't want to get screwed over. You know what I mean? So these pictures are going to be extremely, extremely important. I'm going to show you some sample drone video that I took of another listing for another real estate agent. I do have my own drone license, and I do that usually for my clients. I'll go, package this all together. But let's take a quick look at this. Do you see how effective having some video like this could be? Imagine if that house that you were looking at was your house. Do you think that would get more clicks or more attention? I think it would. Next one is show the home with confidence. We just hit 15 minutes, but I'm going to try to finish up the rest of these slides as fast as possible. You got to be warm, right? You got to know what's up with the house. You got to know everything that's going on with it, because people are going to ask you, hey, when was the water heater last serviced? When was the HVAC last serviced? They're going to ask you a lot of questions like this that you need to have the answer to, especially you being a homeowner, because that way you're going to build trust with those people that you know what you're talking about, right? Now the next one is handling offers the smart way. It's exciting when you get an offer. It's extremely exciting. But you have to be careful if you overlook certain things. It's easy to just go quickly through, go look what they're offering. Oh, cool, they're offering me, $360,000 for this house. Great, accept it. But there are other things in the forms that you may be missing out. In Wisconsin, typically, an offer to purchase can range between at least 11 pages to well over 20 to 30. And this is just one offer to purchase. So you got to be able to sift through all of this and know what you're dealing with, what you're not dealing with. A recommendation I have for you: if you do not want to use a realtor, I'd recommend using an attorney. If you don't want to use an attorney, and mind you, this is not legal advice. I'm just telling you the things that I've done that have worked for me. If you get the premium version of ChatGPT, right? It's like $20 a month. It gives you the ability to upload files. You can take that file, and I've done this, and I've proofread it myself to go through just in case. And I'll upload it to ChatGPT, and I'll tell it, show me anywhere in this offer to purchase and identify by line number where I may be giving up a lot more money to the buyer or the buyer's agent or something like that. And then ChatGPT will sift through it and it'll spit out which lines I need to go review. So then I'll go review those, and sure enough, there's some stuff in there that can potentially turn a little dicey for me. For example, repairs. There's a section, especially with the Wisconsin offer to purchase, and this is like I said before, with any state or province or country that you're in. Repairs required by the lender. Sometimes the buyer may just completely waive the inspection. Oh, I don't need an inspection. This seems good enough. That doesn't mean if they're using a lender that they're not going to want one, right? So the lender, they're going to send out an appraiser, right, to appraise the house and stuff. If the appraiser sees something that they don't like, they can point it out back to the bank or the lender that you're using. And then that lender is going to require you to repair this before they're willing to move forward with giving you the funds that you need to make this purchase. So there's a section where it says repairs required by a lender are the sole responsibility of the buyer or the seller, or they're both equally responsible up to a certain dollar amount that the person puts down on there. So for example, let's say I'm representing my buyer and you're the seller, and let's say I put down any repair request by the lender is the responsibility of both buyer and seller equally up to $5,000, right? Let's say you accept that offer. Let's say the roof or something, we find out during the inspection or something like that it's bad and it needs like a $7,000 repair. Well, I could tell you right now, right off the bat, because you accepted that, you're going to be responsible already for $2,500 because you agreed that both buyer and seller are equally responsible for a repair up to $5,000. So that's going to be $2,500 for you, $2,500 out of me, and then you probably still got to cover the remainder. You probably still got to cover the extra $2,000. So now you're $4,500 in the hole. Now let's talk about the next thing. And this is something you guys are going to run into a lot if you haven't already. Compensation for buyers' agents. So in August of 2024, there was a giant lawsuit that happened where the National Association of Realtors got sued and they ended up having to pay out around $400 million. So And it was because there was a lot of shady stuff going on with commissions and things like that. So now, as a result of it, this has become state law across the country. I don't know if it's the same in Canada and other countries as well, but in the United States, you can no longer uh, display what. If I'm representing a seller, I cannot display what they're offering for compensation to buyers agents, and neither will you find out, right? So instead of you knowing how much a person is getting for commission, if they're on the other side, now you will no longer know because it's all negotiable. It's like a double edged sword here because one, it's great. 6% commission is not a standard. I want you guys to understand that right away. 6% is not a standard. That is, it's all negotiable now. It's all negotiable. You could give them 0%, and then if that's the case, the buyer has to come up with the money to pay their agent. However, it's unfortunate. Sometimes you have shady agents, and it's true. Sometimes there's some very shady agents out there that will, they'll call you up, say, "Hey, are you offering a compensation to the agent?" If you say no, click, they hang up, and they'll end up probably telling their buyer, "Yeah, they're not available," or they already have something accepted, even if it's not true, and then they move on to the next one. So, if you are offering something, a lot of times it's kind of standard that I've seen. Sometimes it could be 2% that the seller will offer to pay for the buyer's agent. Sometimes it could be 3%. But this is all, again, negotiable, right? So this is something that you're going to have to come to terms with very early on. Yes, you want to save paying out commission for an agent, for selling your house. But you need to consider the agents for a buyer because about 80-90% of buyers now are still using a real estate agent. So you need to have this in the back of your mind, how much you're willing to pay out. So let's say your house costs $300,000 and you pay out, let's say 3%. Say that you offer 3% commission. That's almost $9,000-$10,000 plus the repairs from the lender. So where are we at? Almost $14,500 that you are paying, right, into this transaction. This is not including closing costs. This is not including loan. Well, you might not even be using a loan, but closing costs is one thing. Costs with the title company, that's another. So it just keeps adding up. So then the question becomes, are you really saving any money? You know what I mean? Next one is inspections, appraisal, lenders, repair. We just talked about that a little bit ago. So I'm going to skip over the slide. But it's important to keep the stuff in mind and look over your paperwork if this stuff comes up. Finally, the final touches before closing, making sure everything's in order, staying in contact and in constant contact with the title company. The title company is a great resource for you to use. I'm telling you this. They're an excellent resource because they've helped me as a realtor with paperwork and things like that I may be missing. They'll reach out to me. Even if you as a seller are working with an agent, the title company is still going to come and contact you directly because they need information on insurance. If you live out in the country and you have one of the liquid petroleum tanks or LP tanks with propane in it, those giant propane tanks, they're going to ask you what the percentage of it is in there. When's the last time it was filled? That way they can prorate stuff. It's same thing with if you have a sewage mound, or if the septic is connected straight to the city sewer, depending where you live. This is all questions and stuff that they need to get from you, as well as reaching out to maybe another lender if you are selling your home and you say you're still paying off the rest of a mortgage of your current home and you're looking to go move into another house. The title company does a lot of heavy lifting. So my biggest recommendation for you is to make sure you talk to them. Talk to them. They will be more than happy to help you out because at the end of the day, they're getting paid too. They want to get paid. So of course they're going to help you out as best as they can. So use them as your resource. They are there in your corner. I promise you that they are. And then finally, close the deal. You get to closing, you sign off paperwork, hand over the keys, and you get that check. Congratulations, you did it. So, something I want to offer you guys, and you're going to see it at the bottom of this page. You can just go click and download these checklists that I have. I have a couple checklists here. I have my for sale by owner marketing checklist, and it's going to point out certain things that you need to have in place. Just a quick checklist, for marketing. I have one for the quick start guide. It's more of a general overview of the things you need to have done. It's kind of like this entire presentation, but in a quick checklist. And then the last one is my don't get sued checklist, and it's pointing out all the paperwork in checklist form that you are required to have in case this was a sticking point for you as well. So I hope this video was very helpful for you. Make sure you go download that those checklists down at the bottom. And when you do that, on the other side, there's going to be extra options as well, where you can see some extra videos that I've made, as well as the opportunity to book a call with me if you need a little more help with the stuff. So until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this is very helpful for you, and I'll see you guys around.